Well, hello, great to see you again. So, welcome to my office. This is my property which I purchased in December of 2024 and I moved into in January of 2025. Now, in my process of moving, I felt there was two key things I had to get right to make a successful move. One was my visa and the other was my property purchase. And out of the two, I think it was the property purchase that kind of worried me the most. And I think that was because at some point there's going to be a lot of money exchanged and it's money you can't afford to lose. You've got to get it right. It can be very costly if you don't, I thought. And I didn't know the process. And the process to purchase a property here is very, very different to England. So as you can understand, I was somewhat concerned and I wasn't quite sure what to expect. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through my full process I followed to purchase my property, which I did from start to finish, from my first viewing to the actual completion and getting my keys, was 37 days, which in England I think is totally unheard of. So I'm going to take you through my full process. I'm going to put up on the screen a summary of my dates, which I'm going to put up on the screen for you right now. Then I'm going to go through each one and explain each step in detail. And then at the end, I'll give you some tips also. Now, when I was doing my research back in England before I came here, I watched a lot of videos and searched a lot of things on the internet. And I always felt that every time I maybe watched a different video, I felt as if I just picked up one little gem, one piece of information out of that video every time that gave me something of importance to me, then I think it was time well spent. My hope is that by you watching this video today, that you too can just pick up on at least one little gem from my video, maybe more. But I hope it's worthwhile and I hope you enjoy it. And if you do go on to purchase a property, I hope it's successful and I've got a few good tips for you, okay? So from my summary, on the 20th of September 24, I submitted my application for my NIE appointment to the consulate, the Spanish consulate in Manchester. Now, the reason I did that in Manchester was because it's important to get your NIE application in as early as possible. It's the first thing you need. Without it, you can't do almost nothing in Spain. It's, you can't even purchase a wardrobe, never mind a property. You need an NIE number to buy a property. It gets you onto the system, it gets you onto the tax system here in Spain. It's absolutely essential. So I thought I was submitting mine in good time on the 20th of September in England, knowing that I would be looking to buy a property hopefully by the end of the year or early 2025. Anyway, I submitted my application and this is what I did to submit it. So as I say, the NIE is a unique identification number assigned to foreigners for admin and tax purposes. So to submit the application to your local Spanish consular, there are two forms you need to complete. And both of these forms are actually written in Spanish. Now, it's important you get these forms filled in correctly, and I'll tell you why. Because if you fill them in incorrectly and you submit them, they will reject them. But here's the key. They won't tell you that they've actually rejected them. They just won't reply to you. So the way it works is you submit your forms, and if they are accepted as being correct, you'll get an email back with a code, which then enables you to make an appointment to go in to submit your forms. Anyway, I'll just take you through the two forms very briefly. The first one is an EX15 form, which I'll put up on the screen now for you. So as you can see, this form is in Spanish. It needs to be completed absolutely correctly for them to accept it. And the second form is 790. And as I say, again, it is written in Spanish and needs to be completed correctly. And you need to pay a fee of £8.45. So it's not expensive. And the key is, if you're doing it in England, to get your application in very, very early indeed, just in case you don't fill the form in correctly and you have to wait maybe weeks and weeks. So it can take you months to get your NIE number. So my advice is, do it as soon as possible. I left it a little bit late, as I will come to a little bit later on. And fortunately, there was a way for me to get around it. But I'll explain a bit about that a little bit further on. NIE is the first thing you need to do. And of course, the next thing you need to do is search for your property. Now, there are a few search websites you can use. There's one that I use, and it's called Idea Lister. I'll put the details up on the screen. What you need to know about the way estate agents here operate in Spain is they are very, very different to England. So I'll just read what this says here to try and explain it properly. I'll put it up on the screen as well. In Spain, estate agents operate within a system that includes a multi-listing system, which is MLS for short, where agents collaborate to share property listings. While any agent can potentially sell any property listed within the MLS, it's crucial to verify an agent's credentials and ensure they are registered and reputable. So basically what this means is that any agent can sell any property, providing it's on the multi-listing system. So my advice is to try and find a local estate agent. So these estate agents can be absolutely anywhere in Spain. I think it's very, very, very important to find a local estate agent, a reputable one you can trust, one that's really going to help you with the process of purchasing your property. What I did was I found a very good local property estate agent, and they were called Kiwi. And my contact there was a lady called Claire. And I can say now that my process, which I'm going to take you through here, was just so easy and so simple. But it's because I had their assistance every step of the way. And I had no concerns, I had no worries. It was simple, it was quick. But the point is, they know the process. And it needs to be local because processes can vary from province to province. So here in Costa del Sol can be somewhat different than if you're buying a property somewhere up the coast like Barcelona or Benidorm. So I think it's very, very important to get a local estate agent and a local solicitor because they know the local processes, they know the property in the area, and it's just more reassuring. Anyway, a bit more about that a bit later on. So I found a property that I liked and I made an appointment to view the property. And I did my first viewing on the 5th of November 2024. And I didn't just view that one property. Claire from Kiwi Estates actually took me around 3 or 4 different properties in the area that she thought I might be interested in. But at the end of the day, it was the one I was focusing on that I really, really liked. So I had the first viewing on the 5th of November. I went away, had a think about it. Later that day, I decided that I really, really liked the property and I was thinking about putting an offer in. I think it's essential to have 2 viewings. The first one, you're just looking around casually to see if you like it. Second one, you can spend more time. You can just look at it a bit closer, a bit more detail, and you get a slightly different perspective just to make sure it's right for you. So later that day, on the 6th of November, I decided to put an offer in, which was accepted. Fantastic. So at this point, it's really, really, really important that you appoint a lawyer. Do not part with any money until you have a reputable lawyer. Claire, again, recommended to me who she thought was the best solicitor in the area, and I went along with it and got signed up. Now, one thing you can do is to give your lawyer a power of attorney. So what this means is that they can then work on your behalf without you having to visit Spain again before your property purchase is complete. They can do everything for you. If time is running out before you leave Spain, then it's better to have a meeting with your solicitor before you return to your home country and just get everything signed up and just get your lawyer working on your behalf using the power of attorney if necessary. Don't have to use the power of attorney if you're here, but it just means that you don't have to be here going backwards and forwards to sign things. You've given your solicitor the power to complete things on your behalf as if you were here yourself. Now, once the offer has been verbally accepted, you will get pressure to make a reservation deposit of €6,000. And it's important you give this money to your lawyer. And one thing I will say here is don't be pressurized too quickly. Only pay it when you've got your lawyer, and only pay it when you're absolutely happy. I do find they pressurize you very quickly to pay this deposit, and they will say there's other people interested, as there probably is, particularly in areas that are very popular. Property does go very quickly. But my advice is don't be pressured. I mean, take note, yes, and if you don't want to lose it, move quickly, move as quickly as you can, but just make sure you're absolutely happy before you part with any money. So when you pay the deposit, this is where the buyer and vendor legally commit to the agreed sale price. The property is then removed from the market and the dates are put in place for a private purchase contract to be signed, which is normally within 14 days. And the final property completion date is proposed, which is typically within 12 weeks. So the following day, the 7th of November 2024, I went in with Claire from the estate agents. She came with me just to make sure everything was okay and to help me with translation and anything else, to meet the solicitor and to arrange the payment of the €6,000 and to sign the documents that needed to be signed with my lawyer to give him the power of attorney and to start the process of doing all the checks on the property. All the legal documents for the property are then checked by the lawyer within 14 days. A private purchase contract is signed and a time frame agreed by both parties for the sale to be completed at the notary. At this 14-day stage, a further 10% of the property purchase price will need to be paid, including the €6,000 you've already paid. What that means is you've already paid the €6,000. That €6,000 you've already paid deposit goes towards your 10%. Now, back in England, back home, as it was, and I had my NIE appointment confirmed in Manchester on the 11th of November. So I go in with my passport and my application documents, which I'd already submitted, and you've got to go in and you've got to submit them at the counter at a pre-arranged appointment, which was okay. They accepted all my documents, but then they did tell me that currently it would take 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks would take me, well, it would take me through to Christmas, and I was hoping to complete a property purchase before the end of the year. So if I wasn't going to get it for 6 weeks, that would delay things. So that I was concerned at that point, a little bit concerned that it would delay the purchase. Nothing too serious, but it would just put things back. Okay, the 20th of November, My solicitor confirmed he had completed the legal searches and the checks, and they were all okay. Great news. So at this point, we're at the 14-day stage, and I had to make the payment of the 10% deposit, less the €600 I'd already paid. Now, also on the same day, because I was concerned about my NIE number not coming through on time, I had a chat with my solicitor. Let me just tell you about the solicitor first of all. And I was so impressed because, having been used to dealing with solicitors in England, which don't get back to you, if at all sometimes, and if they do, it can be days, it can even be weeks. Every time I emailed my solicitor in Spain, from England or wherever, his email, he came back so quickly, often within 30 minutes, an hour, a couple of hours max. I'm amazed. You just don't seem to get that service in England. Maybe it was just the one solicitor that I had. There was one day actually, and I emailed him in the morning, and I didn't get a reply back that morning. I thought, this is a bit odd. Nothing came back in the afternoon, and I was thinking, this is really odd. And then I realised it was a bank holiday here in Spain, or actually not in Spain. They have different bank holidays in the different provinces. It was just a bank holiday here in Andalusia, and I didn't know. And there's me worrying because he hadn't come back to me in a matter of hours, and it was because it was a bank holiday, a day off. And he came back to me the following morning apologising, saying, look, I don't know if you know, but it was a bank holiday, I didn't come back to you. So there you go. So on the 20th of November, I said to my solicitor, look, I'm a bit worried about my NIE application. And he said, well, if you want me to, I can submit one here in Spain for you, and you'll have it back within a week or two, guaranteed. So I took him up on that because I was a bit worried it could drag on. And yeah, sure enough, my NIE application was approved in 5 days. He got it back in 5 days. So yes, my advice is still get your NIE as quick as possible. Apply for it in the UK and try and get it as soon as. But if you do get stuck, it's nice to know that the solicitors here, or certainly in my case, can get your NIE processed within a matter of days. Okay. So on the 21st of November 2024, my solicitor emailed me the contract, and I was then able to sign that electronically in England and email it back to him. So this is the point of no return. Now at this point, if the buyer backs out of the deal, the buyer forfeits the whole deposit, the whole 10%. If the seller backs out, however, they must return double the deposit amount to the buyer. So I think this is the reason why house sales in Spain go through much quicker and much easier than they do in England. Nobody wants to pull out. Everybody's committed. Now, into December. 9th of December, I paid the balance, and I did it before the completion date to give it time to clear and to go through the system. It had to be in the solicitor's bank account by the completion day. And the completion date was set for the 12th of December. So I made my transfer on the 9th. Now, just a bit of a word about additional costs, which you would expect to pay on top of the purchase price. These typically range from 10 to 15%, and these include taxes, notary fees, registry fees, and legal fees, your solicitor fees. Now, in my case, I've had my final bill, and I've just actually picked it up this last week, actually. And it is virtually, for me, spot on 10%. So all my fees totaled up. And I included in that, I've even added on sort of my will, which is €200. Very important you complete a will when you move to Spain. Now, when you make your payment obviously it's a lot of money you've got to transfer, and it has to be paid in euros. So you're going to need a currency transfer company to do that for you. You can use your bank, but you will find that the rate you get just using your bank, in my case I use Barclays, is not a great rate. It's okay for buying odd things if you're over here and you're buying food, or even, maybe something for a few £100, no problem. So if you're making a very, very large purchase, I think it's important to use a reputable currency transfer company, because they deal in currency and you can get a far better rate by using a transfer company, and it will save you thousands and thousands of pounds as opposed to just putting it through your bank. So I use a company called Tor FX, who are based in UK. I'll put their details up on the screen for you. And I use them because their reviews were absolutely excellent on TripAdvisor, and they are authorized by the FCA. And yeah, it works absolutely fine. And they give you a dashboard, which you can use it for other things as well. You can use it ongoing if you want to continually transfer money from your English account to your Spanish account, even after you've done your house purchase. It's not just necessarily a one-off. You give you a dashboard and you can deposit your sterling into it. And you can take future rates if you wish, or you can take spot rate. And then you have the money sat there in your currency account, and you can then transfer that into your Spanish bank in euros. So it's good to have, and I've used it a few times, and every time I want to transfer money from UK to Spain, I use this, and I'm saving money. I'm getting a better exchange rate, far better exchange rate, I may add, than what I would get going through the bank. I've got a user referral link if you want to use it, and I'll put that up on the screen, and it's also on my homepage on my YouTube channel. So on the 12th of December, the big day arrived, completion day. It took place at the solicitor's office, local, here in Duquesa. Again, that's another reason to have a local solicitor, because you don't want to be travelling to a solicitor that's the other side of the country from where you're buying your property. And also, Claire, again, from the estate agent, was also there with me, just to make sure everything was fine. And of course, she had to bring the keys with her also. And I got my keys. We completed. I signed lots and lots of documents, and got my keys. Here I am. So yeah, Claire from Kiwi Estate Agency here in Duquesa was with me every step of the way. She went to the meetings with me at the Solicitors, and it was very reassuring, and she was just so helpful, and it just made the whole process very simple. And she was on WhatsApp, so if I had any queries or questions, I could contact her very easily. So again, I'm going to put a link on the screen and on my homepage. So yeah, she's very helpful, and even if you didn't necessarily use her for your purchase, there's no harm in giving her a call or an email, and she will advise you as best she can, and she's very helpful. Okay, tips. So these are my big tips. So apply early for your NIE in your home country if you can. If you can't, then your solicitor can do it here for you. But I think it's better to get your NIE applied for as quick as possible. Then you've got it. It's out the way. Use a reputable estate agent, and also hire a good, experienced local lawyer. So in Spain, using a good estate agent is highly recommended, especially for those unfamiliar with the local market and legal processes. A competent agent can significantly impact the success and ease of buying or selling property. An experienced lawyer can guide you through the legal and admin processes. So yeah, highly recommended to make sure you get those two in place. Make sure you've got your funds in place. Basically, the next one, get a pre-approved mortgage if you need a mortgage, or if you've got cash, you're paying by cash. Make sure your money is in place, because as you've just seen, the process can move very, very quickly. So once you start viewing properties and you see one you like, you've got to make sure that you've got your money readily available. And make sure you've got all your paperwork that's necessary. Your passport, your NIE, bank statements. Just get everything in advance. Just get all these things sorted, and then it'll just make things a lot easier. Next one, be prepared to negotiate. You can negotiate, of course, here in Spain. So yeah, don't necessarily just take the price that has been advertised as the price you're going to pay. You can negotiate and put in the offer that's right for you. Okay. And the next one, factor in potential delays. Unexpected issues can arise. So it's wise to build in some flexibility into your timeline. And it can happen. So you do need to be prepared to be flexible and change your plans accordingly if necessary. So one thing to remember is that purchasing a property or other real estate in Spain does not automatically grant you the right to reside in the country for longer than 90 days in any 180-day period. So to extend beyond this, you need a visa. Now, if you're just planning to buy a property and come here for no more than 90 days in any 180, in other words, you can potentially come here for half of the year if you space it out accordingly to meet that criteria, then yeah, you don't need a visa. It's like a bit like a holiday home or a 50-50 home. You could do it half in England, half in Spain without a visa, no problem. But if you're coming here to stay permanently, as I have, then you need a visa. I mean, I bought the property before I got my visa approved. So I was committed. So it was very, very important that my visa got approved. Otherwise, I would have been, homeless for, like half the year. I mean, yeah, I did have backup plans, obviously. But I was very confident of my visa application. And that's going to be my next video. How to apply for my visa. What I did for my visa application. So anyway, that's my next video you may be interested in if you're looking to get a visa. So that's it. That is how I purchased my property in only 37 days from my first viewing to completion. And here I am. I hope there was something in there for you that you found of interest. So please, if you've got any questions or queries, I'm happy to try and answer them. Or you may want to email Claire at Kiwi Estates. She would also be happy to answer your queries about property purchases along the Costa del Sol here. She's a property expert. Anyway, I wish you every success, and if you're buying, I hope it goes well. Please let me know, and if you do move, I hope to see you here. Okay, see you next time. Bye.